Hi guys, it's Natalie, and I will not be standing this close to the camera the whole time, but I just got to get everything set up and push the live button before we get started. So today we're talking about Joann Fabrics going under, well, not under, um, they're closing 500 of their stores, which is a big deal. That's a lot. They only had 800 only. But we are going to dig in and talk about what that means for quilters. So I just got to get everything hooked up here. I think we're good to go. There are a lot of tech pieces today. Just trying to set up my camera. So, okay, let me scooch in here. Hi, this looks like a little bit better distance, right? So today, yes, like I said, we are digging in, talking about Joann Fabrics. My whole life it was Joann's. It turns out there's no apostrophe S, it's just Joann. So little did I know. I just have my little thoughts typed out here that I wanted to talk. But while we are chatting today, I am going to iron a bazillion quilt tops that I have stashed in a drawer because this year my goal is to finish them. So we've got some oldies but goodies. This is actually from the Maker Valley box. Did anybody subscribe to Maker Valley before the Ginger Quilter box? The Maker Valley box actually inspired the Ginger Quilter box. Hey, how you doing? Started her, let's see, I'm talking to Leanna. She's saying she started her February Quilter box for her so long for the February Ginger Quilter box. I'm so glad. That's awesome. Hey, Linda. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate that. So yeah, anyway, this is an old quilt, and actually I don't think I'm going to press this one because I think that one's okay, but a bunch of them are super munched, so I'll show them off as we go through. Um, there we go. Okay, so yes, like I said, Joann is closing 500 of their 800 stores. If you've been paying attention to the news, they have declared bankruptcy twice, like in the last, I don't know, 6 months, year, which is kind of insane. Let's see, Leanna says I'm on my lunch. I won't be here long. Oh, that's okay. We're glad to have you at any point. So from what I've understood, which I'll admit I'm not like deep in the weeds of what this bankruptcy means or anything like that, but they've had to restructure their debt. And so what does that mean? Great question. I'm not the one to ask, but I have some friends that are like very involved and very aware of the issues and things like that. And they've said, yeah, they have to restructure their debt. There was poor management. Do you guys ever, on YouTube, there is a channel called, I think it's the Sewing Update, the Sewing Live Update. Anyway, really cute girl. She's a woman. Sorry, I don't mean to diminish her. But she is very on top of all this stuff. And I believe she was an attorney before. So she has like, maybe she was a journalist. I don't know. I'm not doing a great job telling you about this lady, but go look at Sewing Update Live or just Google Joann's Closing Sewing Update and she'll pop up, and she's very knowledgeable about these things. So anyway, they've had to close, or they are in the process of closing 500 of their stores. And you can go online and see which stores are closing and which ones aren't. I kind of expected mine to close just because I thought they were all closing. In there originally, I thought it really was just the whole company was going under. Hang on, I just got to grab my spray. But no, it's not. They're just closing 500, and for whatever reason, my local one is not closing, which is great. But I know that that's not the case for a lot of people. So anyway, I just I've seen a lot of mixed reviews on the internet, mixed feelings. Some people are really happy because when big box stores close, that means they're going to kind of drive quilters to the smaller quilt stores. And in a way, that's great. I'm a smaller quilt store, right? I provide fabric. But then there's also those who are really, really sad because they might not have a local quilt store. They might not have a way to get fabric without paying shipping, or they might find it cost prohibitive to buy the quilt store fabric because the price difference is big, you guys. I mean, we're up to what, $13 a yard for quilters cotton, And then if you get in like designer fabrics like Tilda, or I mean, they're all, in my mind, they're all designer fabrics, all quilt store fabric. But if you get into the fancier ones like Tilda or Liberty or even Tula Pink, you're up to like $15 a yard. It's crazy. So, I mean, you can see that for somebody who's just getting into quilting, Joann is the way to get started, right? And that's how I started. I started with Joann's Fabrics. So I see it both ways, right? I see like there's some excitement that hopefully that'll drum up some more business for small businesses, right? And for the small quilt stores. But also there's a price issue there. So anyway, I sympathize with both sides. Anyways, so yeah, I I remember when I was a young quilter so many years ago, um, that I definitely was using Joann Fabrics, and I should have grabbed some of my quilts. I can show you one. Well, no, that one might. Okay, this is a really, really old kit that I had. And it came with a kit. And so it was all the fabrics for the front were definitely like, they were the designer fabrics. They're quilt store fabrics because it was a kit. But I know for almost certain that the white background was Joann's, and I know for definite certain that the backing was Joann's. That was definitely how I saved money, was backings that were lower quality fabric, more affordable, and then also bindings, backgrounds, because I was like, who's going to pay 9, 10, 12 bucks for plain white when I can get it at Joann's for like 4, right? Especially with a coupon. So, and I can see the difference in quality in some of my older quilts versus the quilts that I use all the high quality fabric for. Um, but does that make them any less useful? No, it just means that maybe my white fabric was a little bit more see-through. Big deal. It's not a big deal. So, anyway, yeah, I definitely have used Joann's Fabrics throughout like my whole sewing career. And also, I remember the first time I sewed a full quilt that was totally like designer fabric. It was art gallery fabric was the first one I did. And I thought that my daughter better use this quilt until she is dead, because it cost me over $100 to make a quilt. That felt, especially at that point in my life, we were very young and didn't have a lot of extra money, like over $100 on a quilt. That was insane, right? And so now, the truth is that probably most of my fabric or most of my quilts cost over $100 retail to make, but I'm at a different time in my life. I, have a business, so I get, different resources and things there. So, but I don't want to diminish the place that Joann's Fabrics like has in the quilting community. For people who are just starting out, for people who are just curious and don't want to spend $13 a yard on pretty fabric, but want to see if they like it, want to, get started. And then eventually, as they get deeper into quilting, it's going to be more worth it, right? To a quilter to spend more money on fabric. And that's kind of where the local quilt shops come in. Joann was like the entry point, the feeder into the whole hobby as a whole. So the silver lining, though, is that as the Joann Fabrics will close, they will hopefully drive a little bit more business to the smaller quilt companies. So anyway, let's see. I have notes. Let's see what I was going to say. Oh, so there are still companies like Hobby Lobby that has a fabric department that is more affordable. I haven't bought fabric at Hobby Lobby in a long time, just because the Joann and the Hobby Lobby are like really close to each other where I live. And so I just figured Joann's would have better selection. So if I ever was shopping for fabric there, I would go to Joann's. But Hobby Lobby does have a healthy fabric department. I hope that as this change happens, that Hobby Lobby will beef up their fabric department, because I do feel like it's not as good, and they don't change the they don't change the selection quite as often, but whatever, it's up to them. Let's see. Leanna says, we do not have a fabric store near me. I would have to drive about an hour and a half to my local shop. Joann used to be 30 minutes away. It was great for a quilt emergency. Yes, amen to that too, because I have gone there several times for tools, for thread, for like if I broke my ruler. It was nice that, they have nice rulers. They have Olfas. I think they might even sell Creative Grids. But they've got great tools and great threads and things like that. So it wasn't just the fabric, and it isn't just the fabric that's nice to have conveniently close by. And then, yeah, if you are in a bind, then you can get it there. Also, I told you guys I use backings from Joann's, or I did mostly when I was earlier in quilting, and I think that that's still a great option. Like I can't recall a specific instance where I may have gotten like Minky from Joann's, but yeah, their Minky is stupid expensive, you guys. So yeah, it's really nice to be able to go there. Oh no. It turns out when you leave your quilts in a big pile that sometimes they get damaged. That's really sad. That's okay. So anyway, Minky's stupid expensive, and it's nice to have that as an option for the really soft fabrics to get it cheaper, right? Also apparel fabrics, because those are like impossible to find in person anywhere but Joann's. So I'm just like, I'm pro Joann. If you can't catch my drift. So I am sad that they're going, but or that a lot of the stores are biting the dust, sadly. But I'm hoping that someone will step up, whether it's Hobby Lobby or Michaels. They've kind of gone in and out of having fabric over the years. I know when Hancock Fabrics went under, Michaels kind of stepped up and said, well, we're going to do the Hancock Fabrics. And then I don't think it's stuck. But I think, there's definitely opportunity there. And hopefully some, Walmart sells fabric. Although I think they might be kind of like narrowing down their selections. So, but there are other cheap ways to get fabric too. Cheaper ways. Make sure you're checking clearance at online fabric stores. Your local quilt shops. Maybe not local, but online quilt shops, things like that. Make sure you're checking the clearance, because there's definitely, as a fabric store owner, it is advisable, and any business advice that I've received is like, you can't let it sit. And so like it is incentivized as a quilt store owner, or just a brick and mortar or an e-commerce business, to move your product. So it might not even feel that old to you as a consumer, but if that fabric's been sitting on a shelf, it's in the business owner's best interest to move it, even at a discount. So make sure you're checking clearance. Let's see, we got a comment from Leanna. She says, I did a lot of theater costume sewing, and Joann's was great for that. Yes, you cannot beat their apparel fabric selection. There is so much. And then Jackie says, we are losing 2 Joann's near us. Next closest is 50 miles away. I'm really sorry. I know it is sad, and they've been an institution, right? They've been around forever. I don't even know how long. I wish I knew the history of the company a little bit better, but it is sad to see it go, right? And I hope that they'll be able to, with this bankruptcy, I hope they can get it together a little and hopefully keep the whole company afloat, and not have to totally fold, because that really would be a big tragedy for not only the consumers, but also all the people working there. That would be a big bummer. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, make sure you're checking clearance departments, clearance sections of your favorite websites. And I mean, I can totally get lost in the clearance section sometimes. I mean, in any department of my life, right? Like clothing clearance, I'm like, I'm going to dig through every piece of this clearance section and see if there's just like that one thing that's magical. Online, you go through like 30 pages of clearance and find that one great find, sometimes you really do. So anyway, so I want to encourage quilters who might be discouraged that the cost of fabric is frustrating, right? I understand. But there are ways to save money and things like that. Another way is using your scraps. I bet you don't know you have an entire collection of fabulous fabrics already in your possession, and you should use your scraps. Once upon a time, like 2 months ago, I had the Scrappy Society, which was all about using your fabric scraps and getting the most out of that. I don't have that program anymore, that membership. I felt like it was splitting my attention too much, so I decided to focus more on the Ginger Quilter box. But I do have a bunch of patterns that I wrote that are scrap friendly on my website and things like that. So I feel like I'm kind of regrouping after the closing the Scrappy Society, but I do want to put those patterns to use. And it doesn't change at all, like, my commitment to the fact that everybody should be using their scraps, right? Don't let that really high quality fabric go to waste because it wasn't the newest thing. Make sure you're actually using your scraps. Speaking of that, I'll show you this quilt that I am ironing right now. This was one of the patterns that I have on my website. I think it's called Don't Fence Me In, maybe. And this is a great scrap fabric. I think they're 2.5-inch squares. They might be 3-inch squares, but this is like a bunch of Halloween scraps. I bought one of those Moda scrap bags of, this is the Ruby Star, one of their Halloween lines. I don't remember which one, but so I just cut those up and made this awesome scrap quilt. So that's been sitting in my unfinished quilt pile for who knows how long. So anyway, speaking of scraps, don't forget you've got awesome fabric already in your possession that is free because you already paid for it. Also, you could do, like, if you belong to a quilt guild or if you just have like a bunch of quilty friends, don't forget you guys can trade scraps, do scrap swaps. I know sometimes in my quilt guild, they'll do like a scrap table. So, we might be there for a retreat or for a meeting, and they'll just say, if you have anything to give, just put it on the table, and people can kind of just like come and go and give and take as they please, which is actually a really great way for me to get rid of some of my scraps because I'm like drowning in scraps. So yeah, I really enjoyed that part. And it's a good way to get new fabric for free. Let's see, Nancy says, let's see. Leanna said, I remember Cloth World, Jackie. I used to buy fabrics there. I've never heard of Cloth World. Was that a big national chain? Was that, when was that? Circa, let's see. And Nancy also remembers Cloth World. Yep. Okay. So tell me, you lovely quilters, what is Cloth World and when was that in its heyday? Thank you, Nancy, for the compliment on my quilt. I'm like going through these. Ooh, I missed this spot. I'm going through these quilts and I'm like, oh, I do like this. I'm sad that I just let this sit in a pile and get little, a couple little damaged spots on it. That's too bad. But it's okay. I am gonna finish them this year. Come hell or high water, I am gonna finish my quilt tops and unbury myself from my big old pile of quilt tops. So yeah. And I wanted to give myself a shameless plug while we're talking about ways to save money with quilting or to make it a little bit more convenient. Don't forget, I have the Ginger Quilter box. And you might think to yourself that, why is that saving money? That's not really saving money, a monthly subscription. But the benefit there, and one of my favorite benefits about the Ginger Quilter box, is that you are, you're not overbuying, you're not underbuying fabric. I'm sending you exactly the amount that you need every month for your quilt kit. And you kind of get to try a bunch of different designers without having to commit to like yards and yards of this fabric. Let's see what Jackie has to say. Cloth World was national. They were a fabric store that we had in Florida in the 60s and was bought by Joann's in the 90s. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, well, that was a little before my sewing, my quilting time. I was around in the 90s, but I wasn't quilting. So that's awesome. Thank you for filling me in. So the Ginger Quilter box is fun if you want to sample a bunch of different fabric designers, but don't want to commit to huge amounts of that fabric. There's no overbuying, no underbuying. You just get the kit and you get to enjoy that kit that comes to your porch every month. So you should go subscribe at www.gingerquilterbox.com. There's my shameless plug. Let's keep talking Joann's. Um, okay, so I just want to like tell my lovely quilters, like, change is hard, right? It's a bummer when things change, especially locally. Like, I really do feel for the people who are losing their local Joann's, or like Leanna said, she's going to have to go 50 miles to the next Joann Fabrics just to get like basic stuff. Like like I'm out of starch. I'm using just misted water right now because I am out of my starch, and I probably will run to my Joann's pretty soon here in the next couple days, and um, and grab some more. Oh, while I'm looking at this quilt, I wanted to show you this. Um, this is a really fun thing that my quilt guild did. It's a round robin quilt, and so they asked for whoever, everybody that wanted to participate. They said create a center block. I accidentally answered it, so I hope you guys, I didn't lose you. Anyway, so you were supposed to make the center block, and then every month they would pass it to another person who would put a border on it, and then they would pass it, and another person would put a border on it, and we did this for like 6 months. And so I did a flamingo because I just don't have a lot of summer quilts. So can you see that okay? I did the flamingo. This was a Burlap and Blossoms quilt block that she designed. And then I can't even remember everything everybody did. Let's see. So we have this, which was a cute little border, and then somebody did, oh my gosh, this person, she did sunblock here, and she did a different block in every corner. I'll show you all these sunglasses. Some people really went bananas with this and did such a cute job. Flip-flops and a swimsuit. Is that not the cutest thing ever? And then the next person did sunsets on the top corners and palm trees on the bottom. Isn't that so cute? I can't believe I've let this sit for so long, being not enjoyed and not displayed. It's adorable. So anyways, so I feel for the quilters who are disappointed in the closing of Joann's, but hopefully, that what am I trying to say? Something will step in, whether it's Hobby Lobby or one of these other big companies. They'll step in to fill that hole for your local area. And I do hope, maybe hope against hope, that Joann's will get it together a little bit and not go under completely. So I'm hopeful for that too. Yeah, I think that's all my thoughts on Joann's. Tell me what you guys think. What do you like to buy from Joann's? What is your staple? Like, do you buy all your white from Joann's or all your background fabric from Joann's? You buy all your backings there, bindings, tools. For years, I bought all my thread there. I was like Coats and Clark. That's like the basic thread, right? I would just buy it from there. And then I did become a little bit of a thread snob. I'm sorry. But I will say that Coats and Clark thread did the job for like a decade, and then I only recently kind of became a thread snob, and I really like Wonderfill and Aurifil. So I just ironed a big old crease into my quilt, into my flamingo. I would love to know what you buy there. Batting. Oh, yeah, I still do batting from Joann's. Actually, I should say Best Press. Yeah, I definitely do batting because I like Hobbs batting. I think they have really good batting, and if you get it by the roll, or if you're lucky and there's like a 50% off coupon, then that is the way to go. I definitely still buy batting from Joann's. Let's see. My daughter's bought my first sewing machine at Joann's. Oh, see, that's great. And I bet tons of people have that same story of, oh, I went and got my first machine there. I got my first fabric. Like if I think really hard about it, it's like I bought the fabric for my daughter's blessing dress there. I bought there we go. I bought the fabric for my daughter's baptism dress there. I bought baby blanket stuff there. So
it is quite integrated into our little quilting culture, sewing culture. So I do hope it works out okay and everything will be okay, right? We're here for each other if it's not okay. Barb says, my Joann's is one of the few stores that aren't closing. Same. I mostly buy batting and love their coupons. Great that they have parking lot pickup. So true. During COVID, the Joann's parking lot pickup was like a lifesaver, wasn't it? When we were all sewing our brains out all the time. Leanna says she's got to go back to work. See you tomorrow morning to finish off the February Ginger Quilter box. Oh, thank you so much. She says also check out Natalie's mystery boxes. Well, I will accept that delightful advertisement. Thank you so much, Leanna. And yeah, if you guys want to do a sew along for the February box, which was the Flying Pig box, go check out her channel. She's Pastry Queen Farm Adventures on YouTube. She's got all sorts of great content. And she and I have been quilt buddies for a little while now, and I think she's awesome. So yeah, go check out Leanna. And tomorrow we are going to do a full unboxing of the February Ginger Quilter box. So come back tomorrow. We'll have a good time going through all that. It's a little bit later in the month than normal because I was promoting the Floral Frenzy box, and I didn't want to like be in your face too much about like, look at this, look at this, look at this. Sorry, my screen for whatever reason keeps timing out. So yeah, tomorrow we're gonna go through the February box, and if you guys enjoy the mega boxes, the Halloween or the Christmas mega box, make sure that you reserve your Floral Frenzy mega box. It's like the Ginger Quilter box, just bigger, and you're gonna get a bigger quilt, bigger products, and it's a lot of fun. So you can get the details for that on my website as well. But I think that's all I got on thoughts about Joann's. I will, let's see. I really appreciate you guys tuning in today, so you could watch me press all my and we could talk about Joann. So don't stop. Even if you're watching this on the replay, I'm going to be in the comments checking out what you guys have to say about Joann's and what you think about these store closings. I think for the most part, people are just, kind of bummed. But hopefully we can find the silver linings and still not break the bank while we are quilters. So anyway, you guys have an amazing Tuesday, and tune back in tomorrow. We're going to do the unboxing for the February Ginger Quilter box, and that is at 2 p.m. Central. I made a chiropractor appointment at 11 or at noon, which is when I normally go live. So I thought, oh, I better change the time. So I'll be all thoroughly adjusted, ready to go, 2 o'clock tomorrow. Anyway, I will talk to you guys soon, and we'll see you later.